Medicine involving holistic forms of therapy is once again in keeping with the times. Thus, many people today have become aware of methods of treatment applied by the scholars of the Orient. One ancient Oriental approach to healing is music therapy. The Oriental tradition of curing the sick with the help of music developed over thousands of years. This form of music therapy stems from the Turkic peoples of Central Asia. The roots of these healing rhythms also lie in Uzbekistan. In Europe, the first treatment concepts aimed at integrating traditional music therapies into modern everyday medicine were drawn up in the 1970s and 80s. A school of ancient Oriental music therapy was also established in Vienna. Through its history, the Austrian capital has many links with the Orient. Gerhard Tuchek and his colleagues regularly take their instruments to a rehabilitation clinic in Vienna for patients with brain injuries. The two music therapists work in line with an ancient method that originated in the Orient. The doctor responsible for the ward supports this form of treatment and has even learned to play an Oriental instrument. Many of the patients here were crash victims. In most cases, the brain damage they sustained is regarded medically as irreparable. No one knows, though, whether some kind of improvement might be possible after all. It's not only doctors in this hospital who have discovered that music and the physical nearness of the therapists can have a positive effect. Music therapy cannot work miracles, and no one expects it to. Often, however, sounds from the Orient can Austrian cultural anthropologist and music therapist Gerhard Tuchek has been working with this kind of music for a long time.
I had a very cosmopolitan upbringing, so I was always fascinated by foreign places, especially the Orient. One day I met a master of the Sufi tradition who had also studied music therapy. The concept fired my interest too, so I brought the ideas back with me and we began to set up a training course. At the same time, we also applied the concept medically.
Ancient Oriental music therapy was developed by Ali al-Hussein ibn Abdullah ibn Sina, known in the West as Avicenna. Born in Bukhara in Uzbekistan over 1,000 years ago, he's regarded as the most celebrated Islamic physician of the Middle Ages. He used music therapy to heal a wide range of ailments.
It's psychosocial therapy. The aim is to influence the patient in his environment and in his mental attunement. Avicenna said that a change in a person's mental state has an effect on his physical condition.
Clinical studies have shown that a patient's heart rate, blood pressure and general condition can be influenced by music therapy. In clinical medicine especially, today great interest is being shown in methods of treatment in the psychosomatic field. Gerhard Tuchek is invited to numerous congresses. He also participates in many studies in the neurology, cardiology, oncology and dementia research sectors. In Vienna, Gerhard Tuchek has also launched a course on ancient Oriental music therapy. It lasts 5 years and is highly practice-oriented. The experiences students gather, like here on a children's cancer ward, are dealt with in seminars. Many of them have already worked in therapy and care. They see music therapy as a fitting complement to their professional knowledge. In addition to clinical practice and learning to play Oriental instruments, the course also includes the history of medicine in the ancient Orient and the development of music therapy. To gain a better understanding of the roots of the ancient Oriental form of therapy and to further develop their therapeutic skills, Gerhard Tuchek and 3 of his female students are going to travel to Uzbekistan. It's their first trip to Central Asia for Iris, Miriam and Ingrid from Austria. Gerhard Tuchek visited Uzbekistan several years ago. One of their aims is to meet Uzbeks who are still familiar with the ancient methods of treatment. Many of the traditions have failed to survive, and during the Soviet era, some were even banned. In 1991, with the collapse of the Soviet Union, Uzbekistan became independent. A presidential republic, like Russia, it is ruled along highly authoritarian lines. Influenced primarily by Persian and Turkish culture, Uzbekistan is a moderate Islamic country. The most well-known cities are Bukhara and Samarkand, which once lay on the Silk Route, the oldest trade route between Asia and Europe. The Austrian group have arrived at the home of their host. Sufi Tabib Nur Safardi is a respected figure who is known solely as the Sufi Tabib. As a dissident during the Soviet era, he lived in Europe. Well versed in the ancient therapies of Central Asia, since returning to Uzbekistan, he has practiced as a physician and a naturopath in the tradition of his forefathers. For his first meeting with his guests, the Sufi Tabib has chosen a holy place. The locals love to celebrate their festivals here, or they come to pray.
This is a very special place. The mountains, the air and the water combine to have an energizing effect. The people who once lived here had a special spiritual energy, and this energy remained here after their death.
Cette énergie, après leur mort, il reste dans cette place.
Anyone who comes here to pray absorbs this energy and benefits from its healing powers.
As a greeting, the guests from Austria are playing their Oriental music. Even though it stems from Turkic peoples, the music is unfamiliar to the Sufi Tabib and his daughter Shah Sanam. The guests from Vienna have thus brought these ancient sounds back to their roots.
Under the Soviet regime, music was seen as a way of having fun through singing and dancing and so on. People had no other way of expressing their feelings. Everything else was banned. In some families, music therapy was practiced in secret. It was developed clandestinely within the family unit, but never openly in society. That is one reason why, after all these years, there is no longer a theoretical system for this form of therapy in Uzbekistan.
Théorique, musique et thérapie en Ouzbékistan, à présent.
Like here in the city of Samarkand, there is much that is new that has been created in the young country of Uzbekistan. In addition, however, much that is old has been restored. It seems as if Uzbekistan is searching for a blend of innovation and tradition. In Uzbekistan, mosques and other sacred sites in particular have been restored at great cost. These are interesting places for the budding music therapists and their teacher. In Austria, the three students, Ingrid, Iris and Miriam, already work with music therapy in various facilities.
In my experience, people who no longer react to language, people who are no longer cognitively sound, can still be helped with music. With music, you can really get through to them. I work with women who are HIV positive. There is very little available to them in terms of psychological therapy. Their fears and being marginalized are a major problem for them. But I have found that music therapy can be a big help. I have worked with women who've been exposed to domestic violence over a long period. In my experience, it is highly important for women to find a trustworthy relationship level again through music therapy.
Here, the Sufi Tahib is demonstrating a traditional Central Asian therapy. This sword ritual is used to treat the sick. The Austrian guests only know it from lectures and books on ethnology. Breathed out by the tabib are Arabic letters. They stand for verses of the Quran, which, where healing is concerned, have the importance of mantras. These formulaic repetitions are designed to promote the healing process.
In our family, this ritual is used to treat mental problems. It is also effective where epilepsy is concerned. The ritual also helps when someone is extremely tired and jaded and has lost their inner energy. My grandfather and my elder brother used to practice this form of sword treatment very successfully in Uzbekistan.
Methods of strengthening the immune system and influencing the psyche, as well as auto-suggestive forces to promote self-healing. Today, the Sufi Tabib has 3 health centers in the country. His sons, like Tabib Alisha, run the practices. Close to the people, the tabibs are again being consulted more often. In this particular case, diagnosis is based on an ancient method of taking the patient's pulse and on the intuition of the physician.
Science today knows that this dimension of the mind, the dimension of faith, right through to placebo research, has a highly dramatic effect, and that chemistry is often greatly overrated.
The Dikar, a devotional act and a healing ritual, has existed since the 8th century. Combined with rhythmic movements, the recitation of divine words containing vowels quickly induces a trance-like state. The Dikar is no longer found in large parts of Central Asia. Orthodox Muslim clerics expressly forbid it. But the Sufi tabib applies this ancient tradition too.
C'est le zikr martial, martiaux.
It's a method used to stir people. For example, lots of people are so depressed they're no longer able to work. They see many problems in society that cannot be resolved. The Dikar is performed especially for them.
The Dikar, it says in the ancient scripts of Sufi fraternities, awakens the heart and polishes it. In Europe, the combination of breathing meditation and movement is also found, for example, in eurythmy, an anthroposophical form of movement therapy. Western psychiatrists have also rediscovered the effect of trance experience and apply it in hypnosis.
What happens most noticeably in a trance is that the cognitive aspect slips into the background and the experience, not thoughts of it, but the experience itself, comes to the fore. We see this with receptive music therapies, where patients describe deep feelings or the feeling of floating. They say their minds were blank. We then know that a different mechanism has taken effect. This form of experience is marked by deep relaxation. And through this, the body starts to balance out again and enter a new form and speed of flow.
Ulugh, another of the Sufi tabib's sons, is accompanying the guests from Austria on a trip into the countryside.
When I'm in this country, I feel that I can understand the music better. When you take in the sense, when you see the landscape and feel the heat, you understand the words of the songs and their message on a totally different level. That's important because in the final analysis, what we do in music therapy is stir feelings in people. This is closely associated with what we have within ourselves, what we feel within ourselves when we play.
The women are demonstrating the Baksa dance for Ulugh. It too is an element of music therapy. The Baksa dance is intended to activate the body's functions and can induce a mild trance. Ulugh had never heard of the dance before. Gerhard Tucek wants to show Tabib Alisha how his music therapy works. The Sufi Tabib's son, who heads a clinic, has agreed to submit himself to a demonstration. Gerhard Tucek sees this as a major sign of confidence and a decisive moment. He wants to convince Tabib Alisha of the quality of this form of therapy and thus return ancient Oriental music therapy, which has become established in Vienna, to its roots in Central Asia. Tabib Alisha has quickly fallen into a trance. An intensive therapy session lasts half an hour. The therapist also falls into a mild trance.
Thank you very much. Oh, now another people, another person.
Could you tell what you did here?
The legs and the hands became like fundament, heavy. And during our work in diagnosis, in head have nerves. But nerves have small, we say capillary.
Capillary, yeah.
This, during diagnosis, this capillary become very weak. And now, after this therapy, this capillary is opening. The head become total another.
Oh, very good.
Mine here and behind.
Gerhard Tuchek and his students are on their way from Samarkand to Bukhara. It's quite some distance along the Silk Route, the ancient trade route for goods, the arts and science. Here, the old Orient still presents itself in all its splendor and richness. Before embarking on her trip to Uzbekistan, music therapy student Ingrid reckoned she knew exactly what would await her.
In Austria, we learn so we're taught about its roots and origins. And what we learn is that these roots also lie very much in Uzbekistan. So when you come here, naturally you expect to find music therapy in all its original forms. Well, you secretly expect it, even though you perhaps know it won't be like that. What was surprising, or not so surprising, depending on how you look at it, was that the music therapy we expected is totally absent. The irony of it all is that we're bringing it back here. We're coming with things that actually originated here.
They've reached their destination, Bukhara. In Sanskrit, the name means monastery. At one time, there were over 300 Quran schools here. The city was of the world. The city's wealth and the residences of great military commanders and princes also attracted writers, scholars, and physicians to Bukhara. But even today, its most famous figure is the physician and co-founder of music therapy, Abu Ali al-Hussein ibn Abdullah ibn Sina.
The core of Avicenna's teaching is that man has developed a feeling for what holds body and soul together. He wanted to establish a balance within people via a wide range of sensory means. Hearing, smelling, tasting, fasting, speaking, singing, and music.
A monument has been erected to Ibn Sina, who lived in Bukhara in the 10th century. Not far away, the group of Austrians are on their way to a health care center. They have their instruments with them. These two women are suffering from a liver ailment, a common infection in this part of the world. In the presence of the physician treating the patients, the team start work. Irrespective of the outcome, the music therapists from Vienna are treading new ground. There can be no doubt that no one here has been treated with ancient Oriental music therapy in nearly 100 years. When the women awake, there's a smile on their faces. Despite the unaccustomed situation and the strange therapy, the core aim of the old methods of treatment seems to have been achieved. The two women have felt relaxation and joy. At the end of his trip, this is a special experience for Gerhard Tuchek too.
Jetzt geht's wieder zurück in die Heimat.
It's now time to go back home. We'll again adapt to the structures that are there. But for me, this wandering between cultures is something incredibly wonderful to experience.
Den hier leben zu können.
The human body's self-healing forces are an important factor in overcoming sickness and the result of accidents. Methods of treatment, like ancient Oriental music therapy, which are based on ancient experiences and on knowledge of nature and man, can help to activate these healing forces.